What is up guys, Prithviraj here. Now we know for a fact the Samsung Unpacked for the foldables and the new wearables are done, and we had the chance to take a closer look at those devices here in the heart of Malaysia. So we're going to give our very own hands-on, give us our initial impressions before we get our hands on the review sample later down the line. So let's not waste any time and get right into it, and you're watching The Adventures of Vesper. Let's begin. Saving the best for the last, what we're going to do is we're going to get into the wearables first, because the wearables have some interesting changes and a lot of exciting things are happening with the wearables really. Let's start off with their audio wearable, which is the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Now the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro is the successor to the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro, which we saw about a year and a half ago. And that was a very nice earbuds. In my opinion, I think that I had that earbuds with me at all times. Now, the semi-glossy finish, if you remember, on the casing in itself is completely gone. And this time around, while the size and the dimensions of the earbuds are more or less the same as the predecessor, the finishing of it is completely brand new. And now you get an all matte finishing, including on the ear tips. So which means every single glossy finish on the earbuds is completely gone. So you're gonna love it. It comes in 3 different colors. You have your white, then you have your grayish tone of sorts, and then finally you have the purple, which is pretty much the same kind of shade as its predecessor, where the predecessor was a bit darker because of its glossy finish or a semi-glossy finish, but now it's a bit more pastel-y purple. Second up is the fact that they emphasized on the 24-bit audio, because this particular earbud comes with a 10mm woofer and a 5.3mm tweeter to give a good kind of bass and also a bit of a nice mids and highs. Now, to complement this, you get a 24-bit audio support, but what's interesting is that they have gone with a completely new codec. We are not too sure if they have ditched the previous codec, and this time around the new codec is called the Samsung Seamless codec. The previous one, we all know for a fact, it's called the Samsung Scalable codec. If you do not know, you can head over to the developer settings and you can actually find that about there. But anyways, they have emphasized that this particular codec will give you about the 24-bit audio, so which means we're talking about like a lossy or lossless kind of audio experience. But what's more interesting is that the Buds Pro did exactly that at 24-bit and 96 kHz with the UHQ mode in a Samsung Scalable codec. Now, we do not know what kind of differences and what kind of improvement these two codec brings in, because given the fact that this earbud also supports now Bluetooth 5.3, we do not know how kind of a low latency does it affect the earbuds to give better audio. So this is something we will have to test it here to come up with a conclusion and to tell you guys the difference. So make sure to hit the subscribe button so that you do not want to miss our review on the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro when we get our hands on it. Otherwise, you get your IPX7 certification, then you have like 3 microphones to cancel the noise around you and to make sure that you can pick up your voice properly when you're on a call and all that kind of stuff. It still has the active noise cancellation mode. This time around they also have an adaptive noise cancellation mode, so which means if you're trying to walk around, it can detect that you're walking and then it will switch the mode accordingly, similarly to what Sony already does. Also, that review is due as well, so yeah, seriously, you really gotta subscribe because we got so much of good content coming out soon. But anyways, this particular earbuds, the battery life is pretty neat, I would say. With ANC off, you get about 8 hours of battery life just on the earbuds in itself, but you have a total of 29 hours of battery life. But once the ANC is on, you only get about 5 hours of battery life on the earbuds, and you get about a total of 18 hours with the ANC on. So this is basically the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro and the main highlight of this particular audio product. In terms of pricing, it's going to be priced at 899 ringgit, which I think it's pretty affordable really. The Buds Pro was also priced somewhat at a similar range, and the Buds 2 Pro is also again priced at a similar range. I do hope it brings a lot of improvements as compared to the predecessor, especially in its microphone quality, because it's something that Samsung is kind of a step behind. Okay, now let's get into the wearable that we wear on our wrist, which are smartwatches, and they have launched, well, technically they've launched 3 specific smartwatches. Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 first, and then we can get into the Watch 5 Pro. Now the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5 now comes in two different sizes. You have your 40mm and your 44mm. Now the 40mm does seem a little bigger in, like, you know, when you put it side by side, and then extra 4mm doesn't make of a difference. So chances are you might want to wear before you buy it, or basically go to the nearest Samsung store to try it before you buy it. Something to take note of. And this time around, the 40mm comes in 3 separate colors and the 44mm comes in 3 different colors. Next up, what we have is the optical heart rate sensor, and you have a new BIA sensor that allows you to track stress, and you can do breathing exercises, and it even gives you like in-depth data on how your health is, because this time around they're going all in with the health focus. It's all about health and wellness right now. And you also get like monitoring, like sleep monitoring, analysis, body composition as well. What I'm more interested is, as a medical graduate myself, I actually am very interested in the health and wellness aspect of things, because this is something wearables tend to have a hit and miss element. Some they get it right, many they get it wrong. So I want to see how Samsung does it with the Watch 5, and maybe again when we do get to review it, we will let you know. Otherwise, what we have here is a sapphire crystal on the face itself. That's a really nice touch, and you get about 15% more battery and faster charging. Now this is applicable for the Watch 5 and the Watch 5 Pro. Now let's talk a little bit of the Watch 5 Pro. Whatever that I said about the Watch 5 is available on the Watch 5 Pro, except for the fact that the Watch 5 Pro only comes in one size, which is a 45mm, and it comes in a titanium housing. When we actually played and touched and felt with it, it was a very nice feeling, and in my opinion, I think the fit and finishing of this particular Watch 5 Pro is much more nicer as compared to its predecessor. I think I was on the first generation of watch. This time around it is beautiful. The only thing that irks me a lot is the thick bezel on the side, but if you remember the rotatable dial, that has been replaced with a digitizer on the edge. So basically, if you were to rub on the edge, it will move around to different modes and different I think settings. You will need to get a bit of a control. At least when we tried it for the first time, you really need to get used to it, and once you do get used to it, I think you'll be fine. In terms of the battery life right now, the 5 Pro gets a 590 milliamp hour, and again, for the buckle, you actually get a sports band buckle. This is a pretty interesting buckle. So if you remember your those metal strap wearables that actually has a clip-like buckle that pulls out, is the same kind of mechanism that you would find here, and I think it's pretty interesting to equip it with the Watch 5 Pro. The Watch 5, on the other hand, gets your classic belt-like buckle, so you have to put in the strap, and then you make sure you lock it with a pin, and then there's a little space at the bottom where you can slot it in to hide away the extra bit of the strap. And that one, the Watch 5 40mm comes with about 284ml, and the 44mm comes about 412 mAh battery. This is the only difference that we have, and again, we have no word on the pricing for this one, so make sure to check out the article that we're going to post on the pricing as well, so that will give you an idea on what exactly it's going to be. Now let's get into the smartphone side of things, and we're going to talk about the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 4 first. Now the Z Flip 4 has a newer hinge, it has a slimmer bezel, the plasticky bits on the inside of the display is completely gone for more room for the display, which actually looks nice in my opinion, and it comes in 4 different colors. And for those who wants to customize their smartphone, you can actually get the Bespoke Edition, and the Bespoke Edition takes about 4 to 6 weeks to make once you place your order. Now, what I do love about the design in itself is that the metal rails on the phone is a lot more flatter. So if you were to try to prop it up and then make it stand or whatever, it actually properly stands, which is kind of a nice thing. So if I do a B-roll for it, probably when I do the review, it's going to be a lot more easier for me to prop it up. But yeah, I think little things that matters, right? But anyways, we're going to get into the customization of things, because this time around you don't see a lot of major improvements with the Z Flip 4, but mostly improvements on the mini display on the front, because that display has been underutilized for the past I think 2-3 generations. But anyway, this time around you can actually check your notification completely, not just like a little bit of a glance. You can actually check it properly, and then you can have like live wallpapers and all that kind of customization stuff. You can even have your quick settings, so which means you do not have to open the phone up to turn on your flashlight. You can do it from the mini display. You get your widget control, you can launch your Samsung wallet, which has been a feature that has been available since the Z Flip 3, but at least it's good to know that it's still here with the Z Flip 4. Now, in terms of the camera, there isn't much to scream and shout about the camera. You still more or less get the similar kind of optics as its predecessor, but this time around they have included features that we have seen in the Samsung Galaxy S22 series, like the nightography, your quick shot, and then you also have the flex mode, which we have also seen before, because this particular mode allows you to prop the phone in an L-shaped manner, and you can put it at any kind of surface to be able to take the picture that you like. So technically you do not need a second shooter, you just need to place it somewhere to take the picture that you like. Battery wise, they have increased about 400 mAh from its predecessor. So the predecessor had about 3300 mAh. This time around you got about 3700 mAh, which is a nice change, and I think it's gonna improve the battery life a lot, because a lot of users from the Z Flip 3 complained about the battery life, so this is going to give a bit of a relief for them if they are planning to upgrade as well. Now, in terms of specification, what we get here is the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, which is the less problematic version of a processor as compared to the S22 Ultra, which had a Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, which I was not a fan of. But anyways, to pair it up with that, you get 8 gigs of RAM by default, regardless of whichever storage option you go for. So in terms of storage option, this time around you have not 2 but 3. You have 128, you have a 256, and you have a 512 gigs of internal storage. Now, for those who actually purchase a 512 gigs of internal storage to use it, let me know in the comments down in the description below why exactly do you opt in for the 512, because I'm genuinely curious, so I really want to know. Now, in terms of pricing, this is where things get a little bit more hot, so to speak, because this time around the pricing has increased for the Malaysian market, and it starts at about 4,099 for the 128 gigs of version. Then you have the 256 at 4,399 ringgit, and finally you have the 512 gigs version, which is about 4,899 ringgit. Now, if you want the bespoke edition, the bespoke edition is only available in a 256 configuration. So that's going to be at 4,599 ringgit, which is about 200 ringgit extra from the normal version of the Z Flip 4 256 gig variant. I really want to know your thought on the pricing, because the pricing has definitely increased. If you were to look at Z Flip 3 pricing, the Z Flip 3 started at 3,999 ringgit for the base variant, and then it went up. This time around it's definitely a huge steep in price, but let me know in the comments again. Now, finally, we're going to get into the behemoth of the foldables, which is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4. Now, the Z Fold 4 comes in 3 different colors. Once again, it gets a beige color, then it has a gray-green color, and then you have your normal black. I am a huge fan of the gray-green color, because the moment I saw that color, I knew it. That's the color I have to have. And because it just looks so beautiful. I mean, look at it. It really looks beautiful. But anyways, the moment when you look at this particular phone, you feel like, you know, there isn't much changed in terms of the design and all that kind of stuff, but there is very subtle differences, which I'm going to point that out. Now, if you remember the previous generation, on the side, basically on the left side of the front display, you will notice there is an extra bezel of sorts, like a silver line, but now that's completely gone to make more room for the display, and the display has kind of gotten shorter and a wee bit wider. Now, when I say shorter and wee bit wider, the ratio on the Z Fold 3 was at 24.5:9, and now we get a 23.1:9 ratio. And the weight has also gone down from the Z Fold 4 to the Z Fold 3, from 271 grams to 263 grams, which is nice. And the moment when you open up the display, this is also where you would see a lot of improvements, but very, very subtle improvements. For one, the display is now 3 millimeters wider on the inside, and it's also shorter, so you are looking somewhat of a squarish display on the inside rather than a rectangular display. And the under display camera has been improved a lot, so which means you get a lot more of a hidden or tucked away kind of camera system. And the display on the inside is about 7.6 inch, if that's something that you really want to know. Once again, there isn't much of a change in terms of, like, you know, like mind-blowing changes, but it's just subtle improvements to make the Fold a usable device. So this time around, once again, they have gone for a software improvement because software is important. And in this case, they really gave importance to it. Like for instance, at the bottom, if you were to notice, you have the taskbar the moment when you launch an app. So it allows you to go to your favorite app. Think of it like the Samsung Desk taskbar. When you actually have a lot of apps there, you can actually switch it, or you can even think of the Windows taskbar. That's exactly how it works. So this time around, when you use the bigger screen, you have a taskbar for you to multitask, to launch things pretty easily, and I think that's a very smart move. This is something that I've been asking for ever since the first generation of Fold, because we have tried DeX. DeX is amazing, and I'm glad this has made into the Z Fold 4. Now, next up is that they are partnering up with Google, Microsoft, Meta to make their app work better, to switch seamlessly from the mini display on the front and to the bigger display and all that. And this time around, you also get a new S Pen for the foldable. And finally, the camera system on the Z Fold 4 has been improved. Now you get the same camera system or a similar camera system as the S22 Plus. Now for me, this is a good improvement because so far the camera has been a wee bit inferior from its predecessor, so this is a nice change to see. And what you have here is a 12 megapixel, 50 megapixel and a 10 megapixel shooter, where the 10 megapixel is a 30 times space zoom with 3 times optical zoom. Samsung claims that it's going to be on par with the S22 Plus camera system, but hey, once again, we can only come to a conclusion once we get our hands on them. Now, as for the rest, it also gets the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. You get a Gorilla Victus Plus glass on the front. On the inside, it's still the UTG concept going on. Both the Fold and the Flip is made out of Armor Aluminium, and it gets an IPX8 certification. You get a lot of recycled parts on the inside, which is their new initiative about eco-friendly and all that, because we saw the same thing with the S22. It's the same concept here as well. Then you get a bunch of accessories, which we did not go through, but there were some cases that really intrigued us, like the Flip case now has a leather case and all that kind of stuff. Now, the Z Fold 4 will come in 3 variants as well. All the 3 variants will get 12 gigs of RAM. But in terms of storage, you get 256, 512, and there will be an online exclusive 1 terabyte storage as well. There is something good about these 2 smartphones, is that you actually get 2 years of warranty this time around. It's for them to show that they actually care about foldables. And the good thing about the Fold is that you can actually replace the screen protector on the inside about 3 times, and you can replace the screen protector on the inside of the Flip 1 time, and this is exclusive to Malaysia. So if you're watching this video from any part of the country, make sure to check out with your local stores to see if they offer something similar. And finally, in terms of the pricing, this is going to be a bit of a wallet-breaking and heart-breaking moment, because the 256 gig variant of the Z Fold 4 is going to go for 6,799 ringgit. The 512 gig is going to go for 7,299 ringgit. And finally, the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 at a 1 terabyte is going to go for a whopping 8,299 ringgit. So that's basically it, guys. This is the hands-on session, or basically our initial impressions and what we had to share about the devices Samsung announced during this Unpacked 2022. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We have actually said a lot more in our article, so make sure to check that out. And we can't get our hands on these devices to work on the review for awesome content for you guys to watch and to read as well. So make sure to hit that subscribe button or like us on our socials as well. So that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. Again, huge thanks to Samsung Malaysia for giving us the opportunity to take a closer look at these products, and we will catch you guys very soon. Until then, this is Pretty Rat signing off. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.